I try to keep my emotions like to myself basically. So like I'll never like be the one to.
Because they're cherished, right? They're your values, right? They're your.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Is like unless like I'm gonna tell someone like how I feel or unless like it's someone that I know well, like I won't ever like you won't ever know like how I'm feeling. Basically, like I'll never come out and like say it. Basically,
Mm. Do you do you ever systematically like go critical breakdown of someone like who's like pissing you off? You just fucking like
yeah.
break down and like tell them in every how in every fucking like instance they are wrong. They're morally apprehensible. They are fucking like inefficient. You just break down and like tell people that and destroy them. Is that something you do occasionally?
I mean, I would only do that if like someone like pissed me off to know how. But definitely in my mind, like I do think about it basically.
Mm-hmm. Um, So yeah, another thing with the TE thing is like TE versus TI, where it's like if you're pretty sure you use TE. Sounds like,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily mean like it's illogical. It just means that a lot of it's hard for the INTJ to build like a theoretical framework if they don't have some information that kind of proves it, right? If they don't have like
Hmm.
an objective standard by which they can run it. Whereas like
Yeah.
I feel like TI DOMs are kind of they're primarily interested in the theory, and then the real life application is kind of the afterthought, right?
Yeah. No, and else you go.
Go on, Tiff.
I said, yeah, fuck real life applications.
No, and also like I don't like everything that I so if I'm trying to look for like the answer to something or try to find like truth for example, like I go to people who I know are like knowledgeable in that subject. Like I don't really trust like myself to come to the right conclusion. So I'll look at like for example, like if I'm looking at for a scientific fact, like I'll go to like the physicists and see the top physicists and look at what they said
Mm-hmm.
basically, and form my own conclusion based on that.
Right. Yeah. It's
But I wouldn't say that or like if I'm trying to find out like if I'm good at something, like I'll try to find like the objective measurement of what like quantifies as good or like skilled, basically.
mm. I I see that there are things that like for the TI thing. I wouldn't. I'm a TI Dom, but I wouldn't say I reject real world applications. Like there's no way I would argue a point in like a political debate or a philosophical debate. There's no way I would argue a point if I wasn't if I didn't feel significantly inclined toward it, right? Or if I had good reason to believe it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like earlier Eric, we in one of the interviews we were doing, Eric revealed that he doesn't believe in evolution. But I feel like if he was more exposed to like some of the information, he would be inclined to accept it as a fact, right? But he
Yeah.
isn't. But he's arguing. He's willing to argue from a position of of not completely informed on it, right? Whereas I don't do that, but or I prefer not to do that. I would prefer to know what I'm talking about before I argue. But it does. I think that's an
Yeah,
ENTP
like
thing.
for me, like if I didn't have any information on something, I would never talk about it.
But I feel like ENTPs are like particularly like they're just so debatey. They don't they hope to see
Yeah.
they find their information by getting proven wrong, right? Like they will just argue as if they know shit or they have like a small understanding of shit, and if it works for them, they'll just continue to do it. You know what I mean?
And if it doesn't work, we find out what we were wrong about and pretend we never had the other view in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
So like
every
for me, like
time
if I don't know something, I'd never argue.
evolution, he probably will never talk about the fact that he didn't agree with evolution previously.
I didn't know that. I thought that was like it's interesting though. I mean, his argument is basically the fact that he said there's a missing link and that there's no documented evidence of a species changing from one to another. But I feel like that's a misrepresentation of what evolution is.
I think it is too, and I think that's the same misunderstanding that I used to have for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's not that we came from chimpanzees. Chimpanzees and us evolved from the same thing.
Well, there's a common ancestor, doesn't
Yeah,
there?
like
Like people kind of like misunderstand that. They think, oh, we turned into a monkey. We kind of came from a monkey. Well, that doesn't make sense. Monkeys are still here. We came from
Yeah.
the same thing.
like chimpanzees and humans actually, they actually came from a common ancestor.
Yeah.
And monkeys came from an ancestor before that. So like chimps are not like monkeys, for example.
Yeah, but that's just. I'm just saying, like it's misrepresented,
And
especially
also,
when you see
another one of
like
his arguments
graphs of
were
like monkeys turning into cavemen, turning into us.
another one of his arguments was that the that the fact that according to the Darwinian evolution theory that we are done genetically having a genetic evolution, genetic mutation, yet we continue to get smarter, therefore it doesn't account for that. But I feel like that implies that we didn't have the cognition there in the first place. Because I feel that over time, as we've become more civilized, we have the environment in which we exist in has become more fertile for accessing those faculties. It doesn't necessarily imply that we didn't have those in the first place, you know. And
I
also,
think our species is so
Yeah,
complex that evolution is starting to look different than it did previously.
well, I think that, I mean, it's hard to say, like, it's hard to predict what we're going if we're going to continue to evolve into what we're going to evolve in what ways,
We don't
right?
have that kind of time.
No, out of it, like I think that like humans, like we've gotten to a point where like we're not gonna evolve through natural selection. It's gonna be artificial, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, the whole transhuman revolution.
Like the Chinese are
like we don't
already
need to survive really.
the Chinese are already like messing with infants and shit. Like they're way ahead of us, man. They don't give a fuck. We gotta do something. We gotta create our super army.
Yeah,
Um,
because like we don't need to, like humans like we've gotten to a point with technology where we don't need to adapt basically to our environment. Like technology can do that for us.
yeah, like it's I don't know. I feel like I mean I'm not a biologist, but like I don't have enough, of a developed understanding to understand like what we could possibly be evolving into now, like what we'd be adapting to. I think that it would make sense that we would still adapt. Like it seems like adaptation is like it's a continued process,
I would
right?
say like I would say like humans are probably gonna evolve into like cyborgs maybe.
Well, one potential theory involving the fact that C-sections are becoming so much more regular is that humans won't need to have such a small head to be able to fit out of, the birth canal because they're getting cut out. So the brain will actually get to become bigger and bigger, and the head size will actually become more like aliens in movies.
Yeah, the
That's
bodies are getting
interesting.
smaller because the brain's gonna be using more energy.
That's an interesting perspective, man.
But it's all just theory.
Like that's what I don't know. I could be wrong about the evolution thing, but it's the way Eric laid it out. It just seems like he misunderstands what just because you're not completely informed on something doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? That's how.
And also like based on the evidence that we have right now, the best thing that we can say is that humans evolved. But just because there's a missing link, like I feel like people who say like there's a missing link are wrong because based on the evidence that we have right now, the only thing we can conclude is that like species organisms basically evolved from like single cell organisms.
It definitely seems like all the evidence seems to suggest that we evolved, right?
Yeah.
It's the all the there's like a lot there's countless fossil records that point toward back to our common ancestry. Like if I think the missing link people refer to is like the emergence of consciousness within like the human species, which although we don't really know like why or how it arose, it doesn't imply that evolution doesn't exist. But I think that I don't know if that was exactly what Eric was arguing for, so I'm not exactly
Until
able
we
to speak
can
for him.
prove the existence of gravitational waves, we can't prove Einstein's theory of relativity. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't pretty much apply.
I'm not a theoretical physicist, so I can't comment on that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying there's like crazy stuff out there that's still technically theory. There isn't hard proof for it. But
Bro, Newton was an occultist, bro. Gravity doesn't exist. All right, he's an occultist. Okay.
No, but I feel like
the world is flat and it's moving upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared, and that's why that's actually gravity. It's not really gravity.
I feel like to understand like human consciousness, like we would have to first understand like fully the brain. So I wouldn't think that would have to do with really evolution.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, it's like that's what I was trying to argue against him is that just because it seems like his argument was like why didn't we access our faculties sooner? But I mean, I feel like we had to go through the gradual process of civilization to grant access to our like he was arguing that there's no reason as to why we would suddenly want to like build civilization, which I think that's a misrepresentation of what exactly happened, right? I think it's a progression of like as we slowly became civilized, the environment became fertile for more of our receptive faculties, our cognitive faculties, to become activated, and that's how our intelligence has
that thing is
developed.
is present in the animal kingdom as well to a certain extent. I mean, you've got pack animals that have practically a society of their own in a way.
Like prides, for example, too.
You've got ants. Ants build communities that are almost more sophisticated than ours. It's impressive what they do. Like, like that's a tiny little insect with a brain like this size. Like,
I mean, for that argument, you could just say that like becoming more civilized was an evolution advantage.
Exactly. I didn't think of that earlier. That's a good point, though. That's a really good point.
physically, we're pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, our bodies are amazing. They can withstand unbelievable
speak for
things.
yourself,
We
bro.
can withstand unbelievable situations. Compared to some animals in the animal kingdom, like we are pathetic. We needed to create society that survived.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, you totally could argue that it would just been an evolutionary advantage to like conquer our.
You could also say that like humans are physically weak because through evolution and natural selection we chose to
Intelligence.
intelligence over brawn basically.
But I mean, even if you look at cavemen and
Well, wouldn't it be like more like
later on,
the
really beefy humans are still pretty pathetic compared to a tiger.
I mean, we wouldn't have necessarily chose intelligence over brawn. I think like the part of the human race that were like brawny, so to speak, were like got fucked up by like animals because they had no intellect. Yeah, exactly. And then like so the great intellects survived, and so I guess that.
Look at it from a kind of conspiracy Illuminati kind of standpoint, like the brawny humans, they survived for the most part and they passed on their genes, but there was that small percentage of really smart, wimpy, pathetic humans, and they kind of all got together and found out how to manipulate the majority of the population to go and do their bidding, and that evolved into the current day Illuminati that controls everything.
How far can we go, Unify? Unify asks how far can we go? Until we're ascending the astral plane, okay? That's when it stops. When we transcend our material bodies and we ascend our rightful place to the spiritual astral world. That's when our evolution stops.
And our consciousness is essentially when we are able to upload our consciousnesses all into one neural network.
We assimilate to the divine.
Yeah.
Like the Matrix was supposed to be talking about was not supposed to be humans being batteries. They were supposed to be using like the humans as a giant neural network, but the people that bought the movie thought that would be too hard for people to understand. So they made it a battery.
If you think about the only thing that really matters in humans is our consciousness. Like this material body like doesn't really matter or mean anything.
It's just like a tool to further the advancements of our metacognition.
It's just a conduit basically to like hold
Mhm.
our
I
consciousness.
feel like that's potentially a dangerous way of thinking about it.
Reminds
I
me of
don't
this
know
I
that
mean,
it's
but
like
if you think about it, like that's
great, but it feels dangerous to think that way. I don't
um,
know why.
it reminds me of that like there's this like picture online where it shows the brain and the nervous systems that come from it, right? And like it
yeah.
looks all fucking creepy, and then the caption says something along the lines of like the human body and skeleton only exist to like keep this thing alive, and it just looks like some this fucking like disgusting thing, but it's like I mean it's kind of true, you know? It's our fucking our nerves and our fucking brain. But so we are we 100% sure you're an INTJ? You seem like an INTJ to me. You give me an impression. You remind me of my INTJ friend.
I
So
mean,
I know
yeah,
that's anecdotal, but
yeah, and like also like my best friend's actually one of my best friends is actually an INTP too, and like you guys are actually really similar.
mm, yeah, we're
Yeah.
fucking like we're like childs, we're like or children instead of child.
Yeah, the thing is he's kind of like a dick though.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
one of
because like he
those
I don't know, like,
INTPs.
after he's like underdeveloped, so like if you say like he'll actually like correct you, like if you say something wrong, like
Uh,
misspeech, basically.
I remember one time I have an INTP friend. My best friend is probably an INTP, and one time he called me out on like speaking improper, and it turned out he was wrong, and it was so funny. It was so funny.
Yeah.
You got to remember that the first 50 years of childhood are the hardest.
oh my gosh, yeah. When as soon as I hit my mid 50s, that's when my full faculties will be unlocked, and I'll just be writing these like these philosophical texts. You know, I'll be like the new
Yeah.
Plato.
Like which types do you usually get along with the most?
I find I get along with ENTPs, although sometimes they're too argumentative about stuff I disagree with. Uh, I feel like I get along with ISTPs apparently.
Yeah, one of my best friends is actually an ISTP too.
Mhm. I thought I
Like
feel like
they're very similar.
TI doms can sometimes be like get in these like really interesting situations where they both come to different conclusions to the same information, and so they both start thinking the other person is like illogical, and they just get in
Yeah.
these huge fights. You know, like I've had that happen
Yeah.
with my friend before, like many a times. But that's like the downside of TI. It's so I guess like I usually get along with most of my friends are introverts probably. I like ENFPs actually. ENFPs are cool.
I know one ENFP. He's a pretty cool guy.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get him to come on the show.
NFPs are cool.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know the type of most of the people I know.
Oh, like
INFPs, on the other hand, I don't know about INFPs. I'm skeptical about INFPs. I'm still.
I was actually friends with an INFP when I was in high school, and they're like I don't know, they're just I don't want to be meaner. They're just super emotional.
Yeah, they're so
Even the
value driven too.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Like
like
if like what they'll come into school one day if they're pissed, like they'll make like the day hell for you.
it's like yeah. It's INFP. They're interesting individuals. Yeah, I have to say that
Yeah.
having the TI in your
But I
dom.
respect them a lot though.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
very passive aggressive too. So
yeah, they're passive aggressive. I think all of
Yeah.
the types are respectable in their own regards. Even my ESTP brother, which gets my fucking nerves all the time. At least he's good mechanically, right?
Yeah.
He's got some redeemable qualities about him.
But like I find myself like not like getting along with ESFJs and ESTJs.
Ooh,
I'm pretty sure my fiance's mom is an ESFJ, and I hate her guts.
my dad's
Yeah,
an
like
ESFJ. They're fucking
they're just like
troll.
rigid and I just can't like talk to them. Like
Yes, I
because
feel
like
like I
all they
talk.
talk about is like all they do is like small talk basically and like
Yep, I feel like I just
I just
talk
can't
past
do
my
that.
dad. I feel like we just talk past each other. Like we just don't even
Yeah.
can't even connect. My mother's an ISFJ, and I feel like I have the same experience most of the time.
Yeah, I'm also ISTJ. I definitely see that.
ENTJ.
Your mom's an ENTJ.
ENTJ.
Must have been rough.
Damn.
Yeah, single mom that adopted a single boy
Oh wait,
at
I
the
think I
time.
already know. Yeah, I think you said this before. I forgot though, but yeah, that's crazy. Like ENTP getting bossed around by an ENTJ. That should have been interesting.
Yeah, projecting their life goals onto you.
Uh-huh.
Not fun.
And like even my dad's an ENFJ, and I know my ICP friend is dating this ENFJ, which is interesting because like they're opposites, and like you can see like the TI and the FE like conflicting like always.
Yeah. Wait, they're an ISTP and they're dating an ENFJ?
Yeah, yeah.
I see. Um,
Like
I don't think I've ever met an ENFJ. Met possibly earlier when we interviewed that one person, but I wonder how ENFJs are. Like I know they're
no,
very
there's
emotionally driven. The FE,
yeah, like they're super like expressive and uh like people pleasing basically.
How often do you use emojis when you text? I mean,
Uh, unless I'm like texting a girl that like I probably won't use it.
yeah, I never fucking use that shit unless it's like
I don't
ironically.
understand it either.
I use two things: this and this. Those are the only two I read.
Oh god, the cat face, really? Oh god. I don't really use any emoticons now. I just kind of forget to.
Oh, and of
I don't
course,
think any of them look aesthetically pleasing.
fiance, I use the heart.
None of them look aesthetically pleasing to me.
The
Like,
heart looks aesthetically pleasing to me. I like it.
the most aesthetically pleasing one is like, I don't even fucking know.
I'll show you the most aesthetically pleasing one. No, well, that's a pretty good one. I like that one. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's actually nice.
Well, that's really aggressive stuff, Tiffany. Flipping us off like that through emoticons.
And also like when I'm with like FE DOMs, like I always have to like watch what I say. Like
I feel like I have to, if I doms, I have to watch what I say. I guess FE doms too.
I don't like having to watch what I say, period. I just don't like
Yeah.
it.
I was cleaning out with my car with my dad, and he was putting something in my car, and I was just like, I gotta talk to you about something, and he's like, what is it? And I was just like, I'm glad you're helping me out doing this and all, but like I really appreciate it because no one helps me out, but I don't understand how I'm supposed to fit like bodies in my car now when I kill people. Like how am I gonna fit them in there? And he got so offended, like he got so hurt over that, like it was like I just fucking like stepped on like his feelings, and it was just a joke. It was just a sarcastic joke. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Wait, what's your dad? Like,
ESFJ or yeah ESFJ.
and like my dad's ENFJ, and like he's always trying to like impose his like moral views, not his moral views, but like society's moral views onto me. And I'm an FI guy. Like we're always like conflicting because like I don't care, like what society thinks.
My dad,
Well, like a moral
he's
issue.
an ESFJ, you said?
ENFJ.
ENFJ?
Yeah.
See, my dad he gets his moral values from like his religion and his church. So like that's where he gets all of his like he relates everything back to that. That's like his identifying like his vector, which he processes everything through. It seems, and it's like,
That must be a nightmare for you.
I mean, I'm not completely. I don't completely disagree with him on everything, but it's like there's certain things that he doesn't understand. Like I'm staying at my mother's house at the moment, but when I was living with him, he would like wake up at like 4:30 in the morning sometimes, and I'd be in there making coffee, and he would just give me this like death stare, and I would just be like, "What?" And he's like, "Are you been to bed? Have you been to bed yet, boy?" And I'm just like, I mean, what do you think? Like, what do you think I've been to bed yet? And it just creates like he doesn't understand like simple like anything that like doesn't fit in with how he grew up. Like he just deemed as like
But he would also
Right.
I would imagine he probably sees that statement of yours as like a rude or something like
Oh
that, and
yeah.
you're
Oh yeah. That it pissed him
probably
off.
not really even intending to be rude.
No.
Maybe a little, maybe a
No.
little bit because you know he sees it that way. And you're probably trying to be a little bit passive aggressive, maybe subconsciously a little bit.
He's just
But
like, don't give me dumb answers. I'm just like, don't ask fucking dumb questions. Like, I don't know. We don't get along very well.
I hear you. I've had to deal with personalities like that before.
How long is this video going on anyways? Let's see here.
Are we
Oh, we
recording?
went
I
on for
didn't
like
even know it was
we went on for like half an hour, but I'll wrap this up. I'm pretty sure that Hami is an INTJ at this point. We got some interesting
Yeah,
talks about evolution and things in here, and this would be a nice video. Cheers, guys.